A voice from the White Horse.
How's everybody doing out there in Facebook land? This is Tony Taylor coming to you once more, and I'm excited. Yes, I finally finished reading the full story of Julie Lee. Julie Fowler Lee. The book is amazing. As I shared with you several weeks ago, A Voice from the White Horse. I'm telling you, you need to get this book. And the last time I was talking to you, I was just about a little halfway over the book in terms of being finished. I'm excited to let you know that I finished the book. It is awesome. It is amazing just to know that how she escaped the land of death, which her grandfather pointed out in the book. Cambodia was the land of death. And as they went through their trials and tribulations and crossed over and finally made it to Thailand, thank God for Mr. M. You say, who is Mr. M? You need to read the book. Mr. M was the mystery man. He was the miracle man that helped them to escape from the refugee camp of Pol Pot. This man went out his way. He even went out to his way to the point that he had placed clothes under bushes and food in different areas of the jungle as he was preparing his way to release Julie Lee and other Cambodians. And he, guess what? He decided to stay back. And Julie Lee's grandfather and uncles, they were not happy about that. They were encouraging him to cross over too, but he was like, he didn't want to do it. He stayed there, but he provided a way that they would be able to escape. He gave them a map, he gave them directions, and as they traveled through the jungle, they found clothes, they found food that this man had hid for them. And so they crossed over, finally, from the land of death into the land of life, which was Thailand. And it's funny to know how things work out. I'm telling you, Julie Lee is a miracle woman. As she made it over to Thailand, they had a sense of freedom like they never had experienced in months. But Julie Lee had some issues. Her leg was swollen. It was turning black. And they had to bring her to the hospital. So she was at the Bangkok hospital in Thailand. And out of all places, she did not know that her mother was yet alive. And her mother didn't know that she was still alive. But out of all places, at all times, another miracle comes. Julie Lee's mother and stepfather were in the room, particularly at one time, and the news came on regarding Bangkok, the Bangkok hospital. And as her mother was watching the television program, at all places, at all times, she happens to see a news flash. And Julie Lee was in the hospital bed and she couldn't believe it. Tears began to come to her eyes as she recognized, Julie Lee is alive! And they began to do their legwork, and Mark made up in his mind, which was Julie's stepfather, that he was going to make his way from the USA to Thailand to find this girl. Julie Lee's mother was one woman that worked hard. Sopherian. I want to meet this woman. She's a woman of faith, a woman of love, a woman of power, a woman of vision. She saved money to make it happen. And Mark crossed over and made it to Thailand and found where Julie Lee was. And Julie Lee was so amazed when she had the opportunity to meet him. He made it to the hospital, but there was a setback as you read continually throughout the book. Chapter 11, it talks about a setback. She had a health issue that held her back, and Mark had the whole heart of bringing her back, but he could not. They would not release her. You need to know the story of what happened. And it got to a point that Julie Lee, even as she was in the hospital, she got to a point that she was stressed out, she was depressed, even down to the point of thoughts of suicide was coming her way. But she remembered the dreams and the messages that encouraged her to not give up, which reminds me of a scripture that Jesus shares with his people: don't lose heart. She kept heart, and she kept fighting. So Mark had to go all the way back to the United States until Julie was healed of her condition. So throughout the time that Julie Lee was in the hospital, she had a dream. And I want to tell you that Julie Lee, she is a dreamer. She had a dream that, of what? She had a dream of a horse. But this particular time, it was a message, it was a ghost that she saw. And she happened to get up from the hospital bed, and she walked into another room, and she saw this ghost, and she saw this horse. You need to know about that, see what happened. But nevertheless, as the story continues to go on, in chapter 14, I share with you the miracle tree. Miracles follow Julie Lee. I'm telling you, miracles upon miracles. And we were talking the other day, and she was sharing with me how she remembered before me and her even met. She saw me in a dream. I was like, what? Get out of town. She was talking so fast and she was so excited. I was like, wait, hold up. Rewind. Go back. Start all over. What are you saying? You telling me that you had a dream about me before we even met? She said, that's right. You need to know about that. We can talk about that another time. So before we even met, God showed her me. Even before we were connected on Facebook, she reached out to me. And even at the time that she reached out to me, she didn't know why she was reaching out to me. But later on, which is just recently, she remembered after she met me and she began to learn me, that I was the one in her dream. She's a dreamer. So she dreamed, and she still dreams today. So nevertheless, she found out her mother was alive, which is chapter 14. Her mother found out that she was alive. And as I said previously, Mark had to go back to the USA. So once she was recovered of her health issue, and she was in better spirits, and it's interesting to know, because anybody that went through the hell that Julie Lee went through will be anxious to get out of that country. But Julie Lee, she was not, first of all, she was not so anxious to leave, because her heart began to think on the fact that she would not see her grandparents anymore. It was like she was between a rock and a hard place. She wanted to leave, to be free, have peace, have liberty like she desired to have. But yet her heart was hurting, because she was like, I will not see my grandparents anymore. But another miracle took place. As you read the story, the grandparents, the mother just worked so hard, she even made way for her grandparents to come over to the United States. It's just amazing how God just brought everything together. And as Julie Lee, as you go into chapter 15, it talks about flying my white horse. And I was wondering now, how did she make it over from the other side of the world? Well, that's how she made it over, by the connection that was made. But as you read this particular chapter, Flying My White Horse, it brings more realism to what the meaning of the book, the title of the book is, A Voice from the White Horse. So as you read that, you'll learn more about that too. I don't want to give everything away. And as time went along and she crossed over to America, she lived in Dallas, Texas. She never seen white people. She never seen black people. She never seen Indian people, Spanish people. It was just a whole total thing for her. And as she began to experience eating American food, as I read the story of how she, as she had a hamburger before her, she didn't even know what to do with it. She was like, where's the chopsticks? So there was someone that began to tell her, well, just eat it. Put it to your face and eat it. So she began to put it to her face, and then she learned, okay, I got to bite this thing. So she bit the hamburger, and then she realized, oh, man, I'm American now. And she learned what it was to be American by eating a hamburger. But as she continued to go on, and she crossed over, and dealing with the different nationalities and dealing with the different races, she had to learn how to mingle and co-mingle. She had some issues that she had to survive even in America. As she went to school in Dallas, Texas, there was problems. She was not accepted because she was Cambodian, and because the way that she taught, the school students, they would harass her, taunt her, pull her hair, beat her up. And it got to a point where she was just frustrated. As you read more into the book, remember 5 bags of noodles and 3 glasses of orange juice. Oh man, it was just amazing. Yes, read it. And you're going to learn her retaliation against those that bullied her. What does it have to do with 5 bags of noodles and 3 glasses of orange juice? As you read the book, you'll find out. I'll tell you one thing, those bully students, those students that bullied her, they didn't bully her no more. And then they moved, her and her family, they moved from Dallas, Texas, and then they moved to Ohio. Thank God things were better there, because things were getting to a point where Julie was just depressed. She was depressed and she was not happy about going to school. But her mother encouraged her. And as they went to Ohio, things were better in the school system. And the students were better. She was able to get along. And matter of fact, there was other Vietnamese students there. There were other Cambodians there. There were Americans there. There were different nationalities there. And they got along with Julie Lee. They accepted her. And she got to a point where she was comfortable to even talk to Americans. And from that point, she began to go up, up, and up. And then as she got situated, she started working just like anybody else. Her dream was coming alive. Another miracle. She got a job. She was able to save money. And she made up her mind that she was going to go back to Cambodia. She was going to step back into the land where she once left to seek out for her father. Another miracle. So as she made her way, she saved money. There was a part of Cambodia that was called Tu Slag or Tu Slug. That's where she went to try to find her father. And there was a man there at S21, which was the, it was previously a school and it was converted into a prison. One of Pol Pot's top people, torturers, Mr. Dooch, as I shared with you in video 1, he headed that prison. It was a school previously, and they turned it into a prison, a genocide prison. Today is a museum. It's called the Tu Slug Genocide Museum. So as she made her way to this museum, she met a man that was old and slumped over and old in age. His name was Mr., if I'm saying it correctly, Mr. Sok. Mr. Sok. So he began to say, "Can I help you?" And she began to share the story of what she went through and how she traveled back from America to her homeland. When as she stepped on the soil of Cambodia, her homeland, she was as a visitor in her own home country. This man, Mr. Sok, was so determined to help her as she shared her story that she's seeking out for her father. And even up until this day, we don't know where he is. But it is indicated in records that he escaped. As he sought the matters and shared with her different photos and pictures, she didn't see any pictures of her father. So he began to say, who are you looking for? She said, I'm looking for my father, Shrey Follow Lee. So he went into another back room, which is further in this old dilapidated building. There was records that Mr. Sok was aware of, that Brother Dooch had kept records of those that were transferred and those that were murdered. And as they came across these records, he looked and he saw that Shrey Follow Lee was transferred. He was no longer, there was no records of him being there, and then there was no records of him being tormented or put to death. There was records showing that he had escaped. That is another miracle. So she was happy to know that her father is yet still alive somewhere. So Mr. Sok was so determined. And there was actually not just one of them, and there was a couple of people that escaped along with your father. They were transferred out, and in the midst of them being transferred out, they escaped. There's no record of them being dead, but there's record that they escaped. Let me get back to you. So Julie Lee made her way back to her hotel room. So in the process of her waiting for this phone call, the phone finally rung, and Mr. Sok had got word that same individual that escaped along with Julie Lee's father, which was the daughter, had gave word to him as he sought out that she was going to bring her father to meet Julie Lee the next day by noon. And this gets exciting because another miracle is coming. She makes her way to meet this man and meet his daughter at the restaurant. As they begin to come in and meet up to Julie Lee as she was sitting at the table, this old man, he was old in age, and he was, a senior citizen. So they made their way to the table, the daughter and him, and she began to tell her story about her father, and he was like, yes, I remember him, Shrey Follow Lee. And he began to go into the story of how they escaped, how they were in the truck, and in the midst of them troubling, there was a troubling situation. The drivers, which was the soldiers that were transporting them, they came across a problem with the truck, the Jeep, or whatever they were riding in. There was engine trouble. And from that point, that's how they was able to escape. Because in the midst of the time that they were trying to fix the truck or the Jeep, that's when they made up their minds, Shrey Follow Lee and this other man and some others, that we got to get out of here. So they made their contacts with these soldiers as they were working on the motor, and they shot them, did whatever they had to do, and they was able to escape. So up until this present day, we don't know where Shrey Follow Lee is. But as you help us, I encourage the investors, producers, people all over the world, help us with this powerful story. A Voice from the White Horse is a story that needs not just to be read and to be heard, but is a story that needs to be seen all around the world. We have a website. You can go on the website and you can support us. You can reach out to Julie Lee and the White Horse team. There's t-shirts, hats, caps, cell phone covers, hoodies, do all kinds of different things that you can support us by purchasing these items, purchasing the book. We need your support. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm asking you to help us to bring forth change, a different kind of change, a change to Cambodia, a change to America, a change to this world. As you help us with this story, people will be enlightened, inspired. People will be motivated. People will love to know that they can be victorious as well. There's other Julie Lees out there. Sad to say, There is still trouble in the land of Cambodia. Another Pol Pot has risen. We need your help. Help us to get this story all across the world. Help us to make her story into glory. What I'm trying to say is that help us to bring it from paper form to bring it to the screen, the big screens all around the world. I love every one of you. God bless you. Julie Lee, I love you. The White Horse team, I love you. Let's rock and let's don't stop. God bless.
Family life was outlawed. Cambodians were told their new family was Angkor, Pol Pot's faceless party.